Are Manchester United in crisis? Obviously, last night, Jadon Sancho came out and said he would not be made a scapegoat. After the defeat to Arsenal, Eric Ten Hag came out and basically called out Jadon Sancho, saying he didn't train very well, so he didn't feature in the game. And it kind of alludes to much deeper issues at Man United. I don't think they're playing very well. They've got major gaps in the squad still. Obviously, the ownership is this kind of lingering thing as well. And in this video, we'll break down what happened against Arsenal, what went wrong, the Jadon Sancho situation, and of course, where Man United are going into the future, because it's a bleak future. They've got Bayern Munich away in the Champions League with Johnny Evans running about. It's absolutely crazy. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's just sort of talk about the initial Jadon Sancho comments, because on one level, Sancho wasn't at fault for Arsenal beating Man United. You could argue some poor refereeing decisions. You could argue that the gaps in the defence of Man United in terms of the quality of the squad isn't good enough. And that, you know, we saw that with Declan Rice scoring that goal to make it 2-1. So that's not Jadon Sancho's fault. But there are obviously concerns that have bubbled up to the surface with Eric Ten Hag and his player. Now, Jadon Sancho is a massive asset. Cost 75 million quid, an England international. Very exciting. Some of his goal statistics for an under 20-year-old in Germany were like better than Messi and Ronaldo at the time. So this guy was a prodigious talent. He's come to Man United. He's not really done anything. You can't tell me 5 big performances he's had for Man United that have really taken his career onto the next level. And he should be doing that because he's more than talented enough. And he didn't feature against Arsenal. And it's one of those where a Jadon Sancho fit and firing might have changed the whole dynamic for Man United against Arsenal. And it looks like it was Garnacho and Antony who don't think he's good enough. Rashford was kind of taking up the mantle. So obviously Eric Ten Hag is frustrated. He's frustrated with his squad, that he's got gaps in the squad defensively, and he's got gaps up front where there's players that he doesn't consider are training well enough. Ten Hag has made these calls a couple of times. He's done it with Harry Maguire. He's done it with Cristiano Ronaldo. I'd say on both times he's got it absolutely spot on in terms of gauging what the fans think about it, what Man United fans think about it. Moving Ronaldo on obviously did bring some clarity to Man United. It brought a level of tranquility. They went on to win the League Cup against Newcastle. They went on to be back in the Champions League, playing slightly better football. But there are still major issues at Manchester United. I look at Man United against Arsenal. Are they a defensive counter-attacking side? You could argue yes, because they sat back, soaked up pressure. You could argue Delot had a decent game, Wan-Bissaka had a decent game against Martinelli, and they whipped the ball into Marcus Rashford, and he gets an individual kind of goal, counter-attacking against Arsenal, and makes it 1-0. That's all fair. That's all good and proper. Fair enough. Some football clubs can do that. The issue is that Ten Hag was brought in to play this expansive brand of football, and I don't think they've done it this season. I mean, you have to let me know. They lost to Spurs. Really poor, didn't really get on the ball. They should have drawn to Forest. That's the reality. You know, they got back in it fantastically well, but probably should have drawn to Forest. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but and Wolves as well. There's a blatant foul for Wolves that they should have had. So Man United have been poor this season, in my opinion, on the ball. They don't move it very well. They're stiff in midfield. Mason Mount has not hit the ground running. So there has to be a little bit of an overview from certain fans that saying, you know, Eric Ten Hag's coming out slagging off Sancho. When will this ever get tiring? I think Guardiola can come out a little bit. Klopp can come out. But, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. If you've got one League Cup to your name in this country and you're slagging off assets in the squad, I think there's an issue there from Ten Hag as well. He's not getting United playing beautiful football. He's not getting them on the ball. I don't think they're confident on the ball. I think they're happy to just sit back and try and not lose a game of football away from home. Their away form is so poor. And I do worry about Man United on that level, because I think they've spent a load of money and they don't know how to approach a game. I don't think they control games very well, and I don't think they're this defensively resolute side. Now, Ten Hag's comments obviously must be born out of frustration, because I think Sancho has been made a bit of a scapegoat. I don't think it's his fault that Johnny Evans was tied up in a bit of a battle with Saliba, and then Declan Rice gets the ball near post and smashes it home to make it 2-1. You know, Johnny Evans, even for the Gabby Jesus goal, was kind of sliding all over the place. How is Johnny Evans playing for Man United? You know, how is Harry Maguire still at the club? Obviously, Man United fans will be commenting saying that it's the ownership, of course, but there's still massive gaps there. Why isn't the academy at Man United producing even one decent player that can come into the centre-back position? Surely someone somewhere is saying we can just why can't we nurture a kid to come out of the academy that we want? Because Johnny Evans is not the answer. He probably wasn't the answer in 2015, you know, the last time that he played for Man United. I think we have to readdress Man United's targets this season. I think there were Man United fans that thought this season, with Mason Mount coming in and Onana, Højlund, who I thought looked decent, by the way, against Arsenal, that the spine of Man United had been addressed. The key issues of midfield, striker, goalkeeper, they've been addressed, and they have been on some level. They'll go on to win the league, or at least challenge to win the league. That's absolutely gone now. It's absolutely gone. I'm sorry. I think they're going to struggle to battle for top 4. I know it's early in the season, but I look at the way Spurs are playing with momentum. I know it's crazy saying Spurs, but they got real energy, real momentum going. I don't think Chelsea will be there. I think Newcastle will fall off a little bit. I think it's Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, City, and maybe even Brighton. The way Brighton are playing football and conducting themselves, absolutely fantastic. So I think Man United are in a bit of a fight here. The Bayern Munich game is a massive one for them because I think it will really show their level. If Bayern rip through this Man United side, which they can definitely do it in a group game at the Allianz where it's fresh, there's no pressure. I mean, these guys could have... I mean, Harry Kane against Johnny Evans. It's absolutely mental, the more I think about it. So I think we do have to readdress Man United's targets this season. I think a good season now for Man United would be some clarity on the ownership, getting top 4, scraping top 4 even, and getting to another final. They got to 2 finals last season, which is a bit of a miracle, really, based on how poor I think this Man United side can play at times. And the way they started last season as well. So they got to 2 cup finals. Maybe retaining the League Cup is the target for Man United this season. But I think the way they conducting themselves in these big games, how do they go to the Galatasaray away of the world, the Chelsea away, these kind of sides where they're not competing for the league. It's different with Man City, Bayern Munich, but a kind of the step down. They lost to Spurs convincingly. How do they address that going into this season? How does Ten Hag address that going into the season by coaching players? The transfer window's over. Can he get a tune out of Sancho after kind of slagging him off in the media? Can he get a tune a bit more out of Anthony? Definitely more out of Mason Mount. So I think the targets for Man United needs to be addressed. There's a defensive crisis at Man United. There's no question about it. They need to shore up their defence quick. They need to get Varane back. They need to get Shaw back. I don't think Deleu's the answer at left back, in my opinion. And they need to readdress the targets this season. Say, let's have another season of maintaining a top 4 position, another season of Champions League football, and then next summer, maybe even in January, we go out and sign the centre back we need. They need another centre back. There's no question about it. And they need. I think they need another striker. I don't think Martial did anything against Arsenal. So maybe crisis a bit hyperbolic in this video. Who knows? But they're not far off. I think they're in a world of pain. They're playing really poorly. A lack of confidence in quite a few players, I'd say. And then getting smashed by Arsenal with Bayern Munich on the horizon. I'm not so sure. I think there's a bit of a crisis at Man United. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Where do Man United go from here? I'm not sure how they approach games. Are they approaching the games on the front foot? Are they trying to be a defensive counter-attacking side? Their away form's so bad, I don't think they have a single clue of how to address the away form record. It's really, really poor. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you very, very soon.